Now, we were talking a little bit about our roles as men, guys. And part of the reason where you guys are ladies, the influence of a father in you guys' life, okay? And for those of us who've had fathers, you know something, it's blessed. And you know something, even if the father's a marginal father, and we live growing up in a society where the man is being reduced to the second fiddle. What's our role? Okay, guys, what is our role as men? What is a man?
I mean, listen, that's disastrous. That's disastrous. I mean, we're seeing it right now with what's going on in our society in terms of a lot of gang activity, right? That is a problem. It's disastrous if we're reduced to just menial stuff. We need to have a role. And guys, boys learn from a role model that's there in the household. That's key. That is so key. I mean, I see it I'm in the school system, and I'm telling you, you see the disparity between the kids who have the fathers in the home and the kids who do not. It's right there. It is right there. So if we're reduced to
but what does a man look like? What does it feel like? Like, are we supposed to be head of the family? Are we supposed to have all the answers like Ward Cleaver had? You know? What is it about to be a man? Let's ask the women then. Maybe it's easier to ask you. To you guys, what is a man? What does it mean to be a man or to have a man?
Well, again, so I feel very happy. I have a great man, and he's a leader. He comforts me. He encourages me. And that's just three of the multitude of support that he gives me. So I think a man is there to be masculine, because as women, as strong as we can be as business women, entrepreneurs, all this stuff, I think, well, I guess I can only speak for myself, but I have feminine moments where I need to be comforted. Mm-hmm. So I feel very thankful. And I could never, I think you've made a joke that if a man is being reduced to a machine, never for me or a woman like me, because I need that human connection. I would never lie to myself to say that I don't need a man. I know that as independent, as much as I take pride in being independent, I also take pride in having somebody that loves me for me and unconditionally, and being able to give love back.
Ingrid, what does it mean to be a man? Tell me.
Well, I don't know what it's like to be a man. However,
it means to be a man. Okay.
Yeah. However, if I ever wonder what the role of a man is, all I have to do is look at one. Look at what is my vision of the quintessential man? Well, his voice is deep, his shoulders are broad, his muscles are bigger than mine. His muscles are bigger than mine. He's stronger than me. This is my definition of a man. So what does that mean? That means he brings the base. He's he can hold the foundation, so I can stand on top of him to reach what we are both striving for. We play roles, and in my mind, that's my interpretation of...
You know something? We all say amen to that, right? We can understand that. But here's the problem. Do you allow us now? Do you allow us to do that? To be the base, or do you want to be the base and the reaching?
I think that's an excellent question, brother. I think that's an excellent question.
That's right.
I think from time to time...
No, let's let...
Did you allow us to be the base?
Ow. Why do you feel that that's an excellent question?
Because I think that's a question that needs to be answered. I really think so. I don't believe that a lot of women allow men to be men.
Yeah.
Just like, and it's fair, just like a lot of men don't allow women to be women.
Yeah.
Initially what I said is, how can I love you if I don't know me? And vice versa.
My answer to that is, I recognize that your process of getting to know you takes much of my patience, and until I'm willing to invest that patience. It's a calmness that I have, as a woman I have to do so that you can know you. Yeah. Because your success is my success.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but many women don't. I agree with that too. But many women don't.
But here's my thought. I had a very interesting debate in my hair studio the other day, and we were talking about these similar topics. And I remember years ago, my mentor, right? Because that's one of the things I've had to do for myself. I've had to have mentors in my life to look at role models, because my father was never my role model. My mother was my role model. Right. But I have a mentor, and he asked me a question one day, and I'm just really now learning to answer the question. He said to me, "Could you marry yourself?"
That's right.
I was so quick. I was like, yes, absolutely, I can marry you.
I agree there too, because
You marry yourself?
well, hell yeah, I'm a good man. I'm a good man. I've been married 37 years to the same woman, and she's never even attempted to emasculate me. You know, I brought it to the plate. I was an ex-con, but I had what is the word? I had rehabilitated myself, went back to school, and I mean, actually, she sent me back to school. She suggested I go back to school, but you know what? She never. I know I got things to do. It is my job to put out the garbage, because our garbage cans are heavy. So I have no problem. My wife saying, "Honey, it's garbage night." I don't care. You know, I go do my garbage. You know what I mean? Things like that. But she looks out for me, and I look out for her. And she's never made me feel less a man than what I am, and I've never made her feel any less than a woman what she is. And she gets Viagra when I need it.
so then I think even what Spider's saying, right, and even what Al just said, it comes down to identifying the roles as feminine and masculine, and girlfriend and boyfriend and husband and wife, and then staying in that role and knowing your role and like,
can I just say something here? Because you're right. But you know, and the points everybody makes, this should come naturally. It doesn't, because somebody, like you say, like I said, Tupac said at one time, for a boy to become a man, he needs a man to teach him. It just comes naturally to me. She's a woman, I'm a man, and it's just instinctive everything.
But as Al said before, some women just don't know how to be the woman that allows men to be men, and vice versa, because they don't know the role.
It's interesting that we talk about roles, because I mean, I come from a basketball background. So, and in my mentor group right now, I'm teaching these young men how to take on a role, whether it's a leadership role or whether you stay back and you play the second fiddle. But a lot of us, we don't know how to take on that role, any role. Like we ask the question, what's the role of a man, what's the role of a woman? And we haven't really answered that question
because
yet.
they change. At times, sometimes I have to be the base while you do what you need to do, and we just have to know when can we do it. It's a dance.
But here's
it's
my
not
question.
static,
Are we
right?
only looking at it from a male and female perspective? Because if we break it down, spirit has no gender. Most of us, when we get into relationships, I look at you as a woman and you look at me as a man. But do we look at each other as spiritual individuals?
That's the next level of thinking.
And that's where we have to be.
And you know,
let's go there.
I agree with you, but I agree with you 100%. But then biologically, we still are women and men.
Well, naturally, we are going to know. Naturally, I know that you're a woman, and I know I from watching my mother raise me and raise my sisters or whatever the case is, I know what the role, quote unquote, a role of a woman should or could be. And you vice versa know. But when we get into a relationship, it's a little different now. Because there's these feelings, because the way that I would treat you as my wife isn't the same way I'm going to treat this other person that's out here. So now we get into this relationship tussle and hustle. Now, if we break everything down, which I know that Spider did in his relationship with because you didn't look at your wife as I needed to be with a black woman or I needed to be with this type of woman. I found someone who could nurture and deal with me from a human perspective. When I need to be lifted or et cetera, you were there for me.
I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right there.
So a lot of us, we get into it because I want to have sex with you, and you're going to nurture me from the sexual standpoint.
Okay, now this is what in a marriage. Now, when we get to that point, but are we having sex too soon? Before we get to that point, do I want to know how good somebody? How much money do you make? What do I prefer, ladies? A man who makes a lot of money, or a guy who's really compassionate, a guy who has whatever in bed and really loving. He's going to take care of me. He's never going to cheat on me. And I think we get our priorities crossed. What is really important? And do we rush in with those endorphins and forget those other chemicals, and we become bonded? Because in the Bible says that when Adam and Eve became one flesh. And during that marriage and that intercourse, they became one flesh. And in that one flesh thing, is hardcore. So are we becoming one flesh with a lot of people around? And that's confusion breaks. Because I talk to a lot of guys who've been around the block a lot of times. They said, Al, I got to stop this, man.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am. I've lost my identity right now. And so we're going to move on from this. We're going to move on. And I want to talk about roles in terms of dating. Okay, and the question is this one, guys. For the longest time, we have been the pursuer of this fine species. How do you guys would feel if they turned around and started pursuing us?
I'm cool.
That's no problem.
Do we have enough
Oh,
tea?
they
Do
love
we have enough tea?
Easy prey. I'll tell you that. Easy prey.
I'm serious, guys. Here's the reason why. Because we have been putting it out there, and we're trying to read the signs and decoding the signs of what is she saying, does she like, and you guys are flirting back with your hair and stuff. And we're trying to say, do I make my move now? What do I say? I'm trying to get my best game forward and say, and we get rejected. Do we come back again and try to be, if I reject him this time, I'll see how bad he really wants it.
So in reference to what roles we play in terms of dating, the best role to play is the role starring you. Because it's the easiest role to play. You don't have to say something or try and, create some sort of story or whatever. You're just speaking from who you is. And so...
But we want to be asked out too, don't we? We want to get that copy. We don't want to have to read and decode the signs. Kashan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm going to throw out this scenario. A guy walks into some kind of social event, maybe him and two other friends, and then walks into the room. Then he sees a group of girls. They're all attractive, and in his mind, he's like, well, I could take out any one of them, whatever. But his motive is just to go to that event and do whatever. Now, these women, they take a look at these three guys. Oh, these are some fine brothers and whatever. I wonder which one is going to come over. And as a matter of fact, the guys are just entering that particular event for just whatever their reasoning is, just to be at that particular event. Now, if one of those girls comes over to a particular guy and says, hey, and starts a conversation, boom, she just got that guy's attention, and then something can start from there. Now, I've heard a lot of girls say, hey, they want the guys to make the right move. But the right move isn't necessarily, the first move I should say, the first move isn't necessarily always, the guy walking up to the woman. I think the first move could really just be the guy walking up to the girl and then catches the guy's attention. Then the guy would then decide whether he wants to actually pursue.
The first move always comes from the woman, and a man that knows women knows when to look for that.
Oh, I like that, Ingrid. So she says that we got to go back to school and learn the move.
She's right. You watch, you observe, and you will see signs from that woman.
Oh yeah, they're subtle. They're subtle. You have to be perceptive.
How many times have we thought we've seen and recognized a sign and we go over there, bam, we blow up.
Realistically, as men, we love it if a woman comes over and makes
because then it's very obvious.
But when you catch the subtle, naturally we're hunters.
That's it.
So if there is no hunt for us, and that's what's happening in a lot of these relationships, they get it the first time and the hunt is over. Now I got to go hunt something else.
But there are cougars too out there. I know 80-year-old cougars coming after my 65-year-old. So I'm telling you, there are cougars out there hunting too. But I know what you mean. It can be. We were talking about I guess that's another time, the slow dancing thing, and asking a lady for a slow dance, walking across the floor. When you get there and ask her, and she says, no, you got to go back to your boys. And they trash you. When you come back, boy, they really give it to you.
But to me, that's a part of what makes a man, and that's why I agree again with Al. I believe more in traditionalism, where it's the man. Again, a woman can give off little subtle hints, but I think that I really like the traditional sense of a man sort of hunting after the woman. That's just where I'm comfortable.
Okay, now that let's talk about the hunt then. If that's what you guys like, tell me, what does a hunt look like? What does it sound like? And how expensive is that hunt?
It begins at home. It begins at home. It begins at home, man. The shower, the nice smelling breath, the right cologne on. You got your seductive suit on, and then you step out into the night. That's how the hunt begins.
Saturday Night Fever.
He was asking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He was asking the girls, man. What does that hunt look and smell like?
I thought he was going to get. What do we do? Because I want to know, honestly.
Spider's right. And then it moves to the eyes, right? It moves to the eyes. And when a man can can say, I want you with just his eyes, then that, yeah.
How fine is confidence?
Oh, very fine. Confidence is one of the key factors. I think, isn't that, I mean, not overconfidence, but isn't confidence one of the most attractive features for both a man and a woman?
Absolutely.
I think so, yeah.
What do you say, Jane?
I agree.
So
yeah.
you're in a lecture, and you're kicking back, some guy just looks at you, and he's just checking you out right in the middle of the lecture. Is that brass good? And I mean, is that something good? Or you say, are you messing in my time? Or are you interfering in my space?
No, that's amazing. If only that would happen. If he can just hold a stare for like 10 seconds without blinking, then I know he's interested, and I make the move.
There you go. Now, how about flirting?
I'm sorry.
I
You
make the move because I
She
know
makes
he's
the
looking
move.
at me, so obviously
So what is the move?
I get up after the lecture. Hi, my name is Jane.
All right. I'm telling you, there's guys all over the place that's loving this right now, because let me tell you something. Because we're tender-hearted people. Let me tell you the truth, ladies. We are tender-hearted, and we break, and we're kind of fragile ourselves. We honestly. And so we need something to be compassionate with us as well. Okay. So we're going to move on to that at the break, and we're going to have an open mic session from some of our guests, and they're going to throw up some amazing questions at these fine panelists, and see if we can narrow them down a little bit, some of this dating law, and make it a little bit more cohesive and fun and spiritual and all these other things. But don't give it up too soon, all right?